Welcome to Ask Fear and Greed, where we take your questions and do our best to answer them. I'm Michael Thompson, and good afternoon, Sean Aylmer.
Good afternoon, Michael.
Now, Sean, today's question has come from Michael, not me, another Michael. Mm-hmm. There is more than one of us in the world. And he sent it via LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. He says, "Hello, Sean and Michael. I hope you're having a good day." Thank you, Michael. We are. He says, "Is there a difference in the sort of metrics or data that betting markets and pollsters use in arriving at their prediction? The question is premised on the US elections, where betting markets were confidently pointing towards one direction and the polls seem to indicate a close race." It's a good question, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I mean, think about how each side, the pollsters and the bookmakers, set the odds. So if you take the bookmakers first, whether it's a on-track bookie or the TAB, Sportsbet, whoever, they calculate the odds of something happening, let's say 1 in 3 chance. They then have to add a profit margin for themselves because they don't want to always end up square. So maybe it's 1 in 2.5 is the odds they give when it's actually 1 in 3. 1 in 2.5 is actually 5 to 2 in betting parlance. So that's the first part. The second part is weight of money. If a stack of money comes for one side, as it did in the US presidential election, where there were some really big early bets on Donald Trump, then the bookies or the market makers change the odds because they actually don't want to lose too much money. So if a bookie go from offering 1 in 3 chance to 1 in 2.5 chance, and then all this money comes in for one, whatever's being bet on, maybe they go down to from 1 in 2.5 chance to 1 in 2 chance. And as a result, the payout fall accordingly. Now, the idea is that the bookie or the market maker wants to dissuade some people from making the bet. And it's sort of a protection mechanism for them.
Okay.
Now, bookies don't always win in the short term, though. We talk about casinos sometimes and they talk about high payout ratios. Like sometimes
yes.
Casinos over a 6-month period, they just they end up paying out more than normal. That hurts earnings. But in the long term, they win because the odds are on their side. The fact that different bookmakers or market makers offer different odds demonstrates that it's not a perfect market. So, lots of data, but there's a human element in this and what they perceive, what they know, what they feel. So that's kind of how bookmakers do it. So, a lot of feel. There's a method, but there's a lot of feel for it. Pollsters, however, it's a bit the same. So Gallup, I remember reading about Gallup, and its goal is to find, and all pollsters' goal is to find a subset of people who best represent the likely voter electorate.
Okay.
So Gallup goes out, asks people, thousands of people, a bunch of questions. They give a score to the answers. And so the questions are things like, have you given much thought to the election? So let's use the US election as an example. 6 months ago, they would have gotten people said, given much thought to the election. Do you know where people in your neighbourhood are going to vote? How did you vote previously? What do you plan to vote? Stuff like that. And it's a bit of a dark art, but they kind of put scores on all that and they work out what the likely voter electorate is going to vote for. And that normally, the best ones like Gallup put years of experience into that. It's a dark art and demographics change and voting intentions change. But in many ways, polls are kind of more data-driven. So it's qualitative responses. And I think betting is more, there's weight of money, but there's also like how the bookmaker perceives things and stuff like that.
So I was doing some reading as well, and it does feel like there is not a definitive answer to this one.
No.
Like that from what I could see, what I was seeing was that the polls are largely based pretty much on sentiment in terms of, whereas betting markets take into account all available information everywhere, essentially, because there are fewer restrictions on. There are no questions being asked that kind of require you to kind of narrow down your answer into a very specific kind of, am I going to vote this way or this way, kind of based on what has been said. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It is just basically, based on all the available information, which one do you think is most likely to win? Put your money behind that one. And so, again, it's Michael, I don't know whether he's going to be kind of satisfied with this.
Probably
because
not.
he's probably come to us looking for a definitive, non-waffle answer. And I don't think we've delivered on either of those.
No. I mean, the funny thing was, the polls were mostly wrong. Trump won easily in the US election. The betting markets were right, but by the time the election was running, they were very close, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, in terms of the market.
Yeah.
So the betting markets were kind of wrong in the last few days. They were right to begin with, but then wrong in the last few days.
I don't know whether that proves or disproves anything that we've just said, actually. Just basically just says that, you know what? Don't know whether anyone really knows the answer to this one.
We're not really sure.
So look, you know what, Michael? We've done our best. So I'm still going to give us I'm going to still give us a B+ for this. Purely for effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think well done, Sean. I think
thanks, Michael.
We've earned that B+. And thank you very much, Michael, for the question. If you have your own question that you would like us to answer, and it can be as loose or as kind of non-definitive as this one, send it on through via the website, fearandgreed.com.au, or LinkedIn or Instagram, Facebook, basically any way. Get it through to us. We'll pop it on the list. I'm Michael Thompson, and that is Ask Fear and Greed.